The critical concept in understanding where exactly does the income arise is the concept of permanent establishment. Now, do not consider the word permanent to mean that, it can never change, or, the idea of temporary versus permanent. A permanent establishment basically means you have some setup in another country through which, your trading activity basically takes place. Now, strictly speaking, the presence of a permanent establishment in Singapore gives rise to an inference that a trader is trading in Singapore. So, if there is a permanent establishment, it means that the trader is trading in Singapore. Hence, the concept of permanent establishment is important. You might start wondering ki, what would constitute as a permanent establishment? A permanent establishment could arise through direct presence, such as the incorporation or registration of a physical presence, or through indirect presence, such as the presence of an agent, employees, or other personnel carrying out business activities in Singapore, unless the activities are limited to preparatory or auxiliary nature. Indirect presence could amount to the carrying on of a business in Singapore and create a taxable presence therein. Now, think about it. Direct presence means I physically go to Singapore and I set up an office there, a branch office, a showroom, a warehouse, a processing station, a simple collection collection office, for example. All of these would basically create a physical presence in the country, and that would mean you are trading in Singapore. There is an indirect presence also that can be created. Now, what do I mean by the term indirect presence? Indirect presence means I don't have a direct physical presence in the country, but I'm trying to make myself felt there through an agent or through an employee. For example, I don't appoint anyone as an agent, but I tell two of my employees to go to Singapore. I pay for their accommodation. I ask them to take a co-working space on rental, and they sit in that co-working space. They have taken a meeting room also. It's not an office registered in their name. They don't have a lease registered in their name. They have just taken a 6-month contract with a co-working space. They are sitting there, they are meeting clients there, and they are helping to publicize my business and bring in more customers and revenue. So these are my employees who are carrying out my work in another country. They need not even create a physical office. They need not even take premises on rent. All that they have to do is set up a co they have to set up a meeting room in a co-working space where uh, direct meetings with the clients takes direct meetings with the clients take place. Now that would also be categorized as a permanent establishment. Now, indirect present permanent doesn't mean that it has to be like a fixed place. It basically means a presence in that country through which transactions are concluded. Now, there are three tests, is what they are saying in terms of determining whether a permanent establishment exists or not. The first one is the asset test. Under the assets test, a permanent establishment is defined as what? A permanent establishment is defined in Section 2 of Singapore Income Tax Act as a fixed place where a business is wholly or partly carried on and includes a place of management, a branch, an office, a factory, a warehouse, a workshop, a farm or plantation, or a mine, oil well, quarry, or other place of extraction of natural resources. So the asset test basically says that there, or basically emphasizes on having a physical presence in Singapore. Okay. Asset test emphasizes on having a physical presence in the country of Singapore. It does not, so asset here means maybe an asset or a place taken on lease, or it could mean a place that you have acquired for setting up your branch office. But there has to be a physical place where customers can walk in or have an interaction. It could be a factory, it could be a warehouse, it could be a plantation, like banana plantation, where say you believe that okay, bananas grown in Singapore are really good, so you acquire a piece of land, you start, or you don't acquire a piece of land, you take a piece of land on lease and there you plant the banana crop and you harvest the bananas and you sell it. That would also tantamount to a permanent establishment. Then there is the agency test. Under the agency test, an overseas entity could still be regarded as trading in Singapore through the activities or conduct of the broker, agent, employees, or other related personnel acting on its behalf. For this purpose, if the broker, agent, employee, or related person can accept orders on behalf of the foreign entity and habitually exercise authority to conclude contracts in the name of the non-resident, these people would then have created a permanent establishment for the foreign entity in Singapore. The word here I want you to focus on is conclude contracts, habitually, and accept orders. Say I am a jewelry designer and I want to grow my business in Singapore. So I don't set up, I want to be sneaky. So I don't go and set up a physical office there. I don't set up a showroom. As I told you, there is a co-working space. Why am I taking the example of a co-working space? See, if I take premises on rent, then it becomes in my name and the asset test will apply. I want to be sneaky. So what do? I go to a co-working space and all I secure is 4 seats and a meeting room. So I want to deal with customers there. So I invite them to the meeting room in the co-working space, which is anyway not leased in my name. I sit with them, I show them the designs, I show them samples, they like it, they place an order. And I am accepting the order for the head office in India or for the head office in India, and I'm accepting the orders in Singapore through a co-working space there. So technically the asset test won't apply because it's not like a typical branch office or anything. It's just 4 seats in a co-working space. And I have the authority to conclude contracts in the name of the non-resident. So my employee who is, showing you all the designs and taking your orders, he also has the authority to accept the order, sign it on my behalf, and give you like some sort of an acknowledgement. So if he has the ability to conclude, that is, sign the contracts in my name and make them effective, it's as if it's as if I am operating through this person. See, when do I give him the right to conclude the contracts? It's not something that I tell him on phone, right? I prepare a piece of document that is known as a power of attorney. And that power of attorney mentions that this person has the authority to sign contracts in my name, and when he signs it, it is binding on me. So it's like my soul operating through another body, basically, which is stationed there. That would again lead to creation of that agency relationship, and it would be considered that I have set up a permanent establishment for the foreign entity in that country, and all my income in Singapore will be taxed there. The profits from the relevant transactions attributable to the permanent establishment would consequently be taxable in Singapore. So whatever income I earn from showing the designs and concluding contracts in Singapore would be taxed in Singapore. Now, understand, why am I trying to do this? See, I'm deliberately avoiding setting up a showroom. What I'm doing is I am operating in a very informal way. I'm concluding the contracts there, I'm bringing the orders to India, and then I'm shipping it to the customer in Singapore. That way, I want to tell the Singapore government that, see, I'm not trading in your country, I'm trading with your country. If I'm trading with your country, the income will be taxed in India. Now, Singapore government does not have a choice but to accept it, which is why they have come up with the agency test, wherein they are saying ki, if you are being sneaky, beware. We are not going to fall for this trap all over again. We know that you have concluded the contract here, your people are operating here, although they might not have a place in their name, they are accepting the orders on your behalf here, they are signing the contracts on your behalf. That is more than enough. So, any income that you generate from the sales made to these people through acceptance of orders and concluding the contract here would be taxed in Singapore. You have to pay tax here, not the Indian tax. You do whatever you want with India, but we are also going to levy tax on this. Essentially, an overseas entity would have a taxable presence in Singapore. Sometimes I just would have a taxable presence in Singapore if it has another person acting on its behalf in Singapore who, amongst other acts, has and habitually exercises an authority to conclude contracts, maintains a stock of goods or merchandise for the purpose of delivery on behalf of that person, or habitually secures orders wholly or almost wholly for that person or for such other enterprises as are controlled by that person. So, again, let's go back to the jewelry design wala situation. While I bring customers to the office. I have meetings with them. I know that more or less, there are some bestseller designs that they usually end up ordering, and I don't want to delay the delivery of goods to them. I don't want to spoil their experience. So what I do in that case is I make sure that I have a small inventory kept in Singapore so that I can serve these orders immediately. So maintaining a stock also falls under one of the conditions. Now, most of the tax treaties concluded by Singapore also provide that a foreign entity shall not be deemed to have a permanent establishment, PE. We will call it PE now in Singapore merely because it carries on business in Singapore through a broker, general commission agent, or any other agent of an independent status, provided that such persons are acting in the ordinary course of business. Generally, an agent is considered independent if he is independent of the foreign entity both legally and economically. He is not an employee. He is not a subsidiary. He is acting in the ordinary course of business when acting on behalf of the foreign entity. Say, I am I make, breakfast cereal. And there is a person, and through him, I'm delivering my breakfast cereal product in Singapore. But he's not delivering just my cereal and breakfast items. He is basically processing orders for a lot of cereal and breakfast makers across the world. So he's selling my products in Singapore. He's selling MTR products in Singapore. He's selling Haldiram products in Singapore. He's selling so many different products. So he's not acting solely on my behalf. He's just a channel through which I make my delivery and order taking possible. In that case, you would not say that this person has a permanent establishment in Singapore. This agent, if it would have been a situation, where he works only for me, works solely for me, accepts orders on my behalf, processes them, has the authority to conclude contracts, I could have brought the agency test into the discussion. But this new agent that I have appointed, he processes and delivers goods for me. He and I am making cereals and breakfast items. And as I told you, he does it for other companies. MTR Foods and Haldiram and so many other providers. So he is acting in the ordinary course of business. So again, in this case, it would not be considered as trading in the country. It would be considered as trading with the country. You see, every statement has a certain significance. He is performing commercial activities for the foreign company that are not subject to detailed instructions or comprehensive control by the foreign company. So, what kind of activities could these be? These could be, your regular routine activities that are necessary for sale, which don't require specialized approvals or specialized permissions every time. I could think of a situation, where I am a curtain maker and I sell curtains all over the world. And the process is simple. Accept the order, log it into the system. I will deliver the material to you. Customer will come to your location and pick it up. So basically, you don't have specialized or detailed instructions. It's just a basic set of, material handling activity that is happening that might not necessarily be a permanent establishment. And he is not bearing any entrepreneur risk for the foreign company. He is simply acting on behalf of the foreign company, but he is not making any decision. He is not concluding the contracts. He is not in a decision making role. He is simply, acting like a handler in that case. So you could say that the agency test fails here and it would not be treated as a permanent establishment. The next one, the last one, is the activity test. Under the activity test, an overseas entity could end up having a permanent establishment in Singapore if it carries on supervisory activities in connection with a building or a work site or a construction, installation, or assembly project. This is provided for under Section 2 of the Singapore Income Tax Act. So, the I'm an expert architect. I'm a world-renowned architect, and somebody wants to construct a building in Singapore, and they have called me to, handle the architecture and act like a supervisor of sorts. So I come there, I carry on supervision activity, I tell the team this is right, this is wrong, whatever it is, and yeah, that's pretty much it. In the activity test, because of the activity test now, although I am an Indian architect, but I have come to Singapore in relation to some work with respect to a building or a work site or a construction place or an assembly project. Here, what I'm doing is I am acting on behalf of, so I am the architect, okay? And I'm coming to your location in your country and supervising the work there. The property is in Singapore where the building or the construction work is happening. So in that case, I would be deemed to have a permanent establishment, and whatever income I derive from the supervisory work I do for this factory construction or this building construction or this work site would be considered to be income through a permanent establishment, and it would get taxed in Singapore.